Welcome to Bamfordrose and another question of the week. This week it's V8 Vantage, and the question is, how can I get a smooth pull away with the manual transmission using the clutch in reverse gear when reverse gear is pretty much the same ratio as second gear. Yeah, it's a really tall ratio, making reverse very, very difficult if you don't do it in a set way. And it's this set way that I'm going to explain to you now, show you now. And obviously the twin plate clutch upgrade makes the car a lot more maneuverable, usable. Your interaction is better with the clutch, with the gearbox. Driving made a lot easier with the twin plate clutch. This car is completely standard, and actually this clutch pedal feels absolutely awful. So what's this got on? This car's on 29,000 miles, so it's certainly due a clutch, and I'd probably say that this is the original clutch fitted to this car. So if you can perform this manoeuvre, or as I will show you now, if this manoeuvre can be done on a pretty dreadful single plate clutch, then you can do this on any clutch, a good single plate clutch or a twin plate clutch. So a lot of comments that I read is the engine rev's going too high, engine rev's going too low, too high, too low. And this is because if you have no throttle pedal pressed at all, the engine is in idle speed control mode. If you have a little bit of throttle pedal application, then it's in a driver demand mode, and it's not going to be trying to maintain an idle speed, which is what happens when you're in idle speed control. So the first key to a good smooth manoeuvre is to find the bite point on the clutch and lift your left foot to that height, and then feed in a little bit of accelerator pedal. And then when you're performing the transition from stationary to rolling to clutch fully out, you keep your accelerator foot, the pedal, in exactly the same position throughout that whole transition. And if you need to increase engine revs a little bit because maybe the gradient that you're on is making engine revs dip down, then dab the clutch, come in and out on the clutch, and never go on and off the throttle pedal, because that is going to confuse the engine management system. It's going to think it's going to be going into idle speed control mode, and then when it's too high for a speed point, it's going to close the throttle automatically, and then when it undershoots, it's going to open the throttle back up. So this can add to the engine revs going high, going low, going high, going low, making that maneuver jerky, and when the revs go too high, burns the clutch out. So, you know, we're on a bit of an incline now. We're going to reverse up it. We're going to keep the engine revs below about 1500 RPM. We're going to have a really smooth take up of drive, and I'm going to press the accelerator pedal just a bit to get it out of idle speed control mode, and then, as I said earlier, use the clutch pedal to control engine speed until you go from the transition of rolling through to a full driving condition from pull away. So I've got the foot on the brake because we need to stop rolling forward because we're on an incline. You could use the handbrake. I prefer to use the brake, and I'm now going to come up on the clutch pedal until I can start to feel it biting, and there it goes. I've got a change in engine note, and I can just see it on the rev counter drop down a bit. Now if I come off the brake pedal, then we shouldn't roll forwards, and it just wants to start maneuvering backwards. Now I'm going to put a little bit of throttle on just to get the engine revs to go just above the 1000 RPM, and then leave the accelerator pedal there, and now just come up off the clutch, and now we're reversing up a hill, and engine revs go a little bit low, so I want to increase the speed, and all of that is being done off the clutch pedal and not the accelerator pedal at all. So that process of always maintaining the same throttle pedal position, and if you're on a steeper incline, then you might have to give it a little bit more throttle pedal than what I did for this incline here, but essentially the principle is the same. Get the clutch to the biting point, put the throttle application in that you need, and then never ever change the position of the throttle pedal. And if you dip low on engine speed, then press the clutch pedal in. Obviously you shouldn't go high on engine speed, because if you did, that would mean that you've put too much pedal in to start with. Obviously a twin plate clutch drives better than the single plate clutch, but when we fit the twin plate clutch, it's an upgrade, and therefore everyone expects every eventuality to be absolutely perfect. So this reverse situation that was tricky on a single plate clutch, anyway, well, it's tricky if you don't do the procedure that I just said. So, but that maneuver on a single plate clutch, it is equally the same on a twin plate clutch. It's difficult to control. But because someone's had the upgrade, now I'll get a comment back saying, oh, well, it's very jerky, very difficult to drive in reverse. And some people find it difficult to pull away cleanly in first. There's been a couple of customers sat in the passenger seat of their own car who can't get a smooth pull away, look absolutely bemused when I drive the car in the way that I've just done. I keep the engine revs below about 1000 RPM going up a very steep incline in reverse, and they just, how did you do that? I can't do that. That is the trick there, by never altering your throttle pedal position. You've got to have a good seating position to start with, because you are relying on a good fulcrum point of your heel on the floor on both pedals, and being able to put force through your knee and your ankle to control the pedals in the precise position that you need. Rather infuriatingly, there's one particular chap on a forum which will say the twin plate clutch is undrivable. This is the same chap who had his seat in deck chair position. Instead of driving a sports car, his seating position was more orientated towards how you would sit on the beach on your deck chair. And he didn't really have a fulcrum point on his heel, and the seat was so far back that the ball of his foot was pressing on the clutch, and he hardly touched his heel on the floor at all. You know, you're never going to achieve the control that you need on clutch pedal to master a perfectly smooth shift. But even in reverse gear, with its notoriously tall ratio, which is the same as second, if you just practice for a little bit, apply that technique that I've just shown there, you'll be able to get a really smooth pull away, keep the engine revs low, avoid the barbecue clutch smell, and you know, we don't have to worry about mileage out of a twin plate clutch because they last pretty much forever. But you know, if you apply techniques like that on your single plate clutch, you'll avoid the barbecue, and you'll be able to drag that much more life out of your standard single plate clutch. Hope you liked that question of the week. Really like to hear your comments on how you drive your V8 Vantage. Click us a like and subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to seeing you on the next question of the week.